Alright, now. I've heard that you're not listening to the Hot Take Pod. Come on. My name is Edward, this is Cynthia, and we are having our lovely guest Estee Widdershoven with us today. She is a GA for the men's and women's tennis team and used to play at Valdosta State herself on the number 1 spot for the women's team. Give it up for Estee.
Hi everyone, my name is Estee Widdershoven and I'm right now the graduate assistant for the tennis team here at Valdosta State University.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your childhood and how sports became a part of your life.
Yes, so whenever I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, I did a lot of sports. I did ballet, swimming, tennis, gymnastics. And then when I was like 9 or 10, I had to decide in one sport and like really work in that sport. So then I chose tennis because my dad is also playing tennis. And he actually said like that's a sport you can do when you're older too and not like gymnastics or whatever. So then I started playing a little bit more when I was like 11 years old. And then I started going like full time when I was 12. I didn't play a lot of years full time, but yeah, I mean, and then whenever I was 15, I actually stopped playing tennis. But actually, that's the next question.
Well, we can go ahead and go into the next question.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just thinking about like someone that's like 75 years old and doing gymnastics, you know, like doing
yeah.
the little tumble.
You were laughing. I was like, I'm not going to look at you. I'm going to look at her because I saw you.
There are some older people that do gymnastics and they still do it, so it's possible.
No, for my dad, it's just very, like, he was playing tennis and he was like enjoying it to play with me too. So he was like pushing me a little bit and going to the tennis direction because we all know we see people playing when they're 80 years old. So it's like, yeah, that was kind of important for him too. And it's like a social sport also. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I chose to do tennis. And I don't regret it because it gave me so many opportunities and chances, which I took. And that's why I'm here also.
So you talked a little bit about your life and about yourself. So what made you decide to come to the US and play college tennis?
Dennis Mertens is an overboarder back home. He reached out to me on Facebook and he already reached out to me a couple of times. And he was like, well, why don't you try to go to college? Like go to America, play tennis and get your degree at the same time and it's for free. I was like, like let me have a conversation with that guy and just see what he can offer, like what it is all about because he did it too. So I was like, well, yeah, actually let me just try, So I went first to Long Beach. It's a D1 school in California, in LA, and I hated it. I hated every single minute of it because the coach was very, very rough. Mm-hmm. She would scream behind me and be like, how can you miss this ball? Stop playing tennis. So I was like, this is not what I want because I don't want to do anything in tennis in the future. Like I don't want to be professional, so it was just too much pressure. Yeah. And then I was like, I'm just going home. Like, I'm done. And then Dennis was like, my overboarder was like, well, try to go to a D2 school. Like, it doesn't mean the tennis level is lower, but it means the pressure. They're taking the pressure a little bit off. So then I went back into the transfer portal, and then a lot of coaches reached out to me, like, I don't know, about 60 or so schools.
I mean, you come from a D1, so it's exactly. Not like D1 to D2. Like, I gotta have a good level now.
Exactly. And Long Beach was also very, like, we were a lot of times conference champions, so it was a good school. So then Valdosta didn't really come into my mind. But for me, I was making a decision based off location because I didn't want to go to the north because it's cold, and I'm going to America also for the weather. So then a girl from Belgium reached out to me. She was on the team back then, and she was like, coach asked me about you, why don't you come here? So I had a conversation with that girl, and that's actually why I came here, because of the connection I had with her. I didn't really know her personally from back home, but I knew of her, and she kind of like convinced me to come here. So that's actually why I came to Valdosta.
So you got a bachelor here at Valdosta State. You played your final season here as well. What made you decide to want to continue as a graduate assistant for the tennis team?
Well, so I can thank that actually to COVID. Mm-hmm. When COVID happened, the season got cut short. So we had to go home, and then the NCAA decided that everyone got a year of eligibility back. Mm-hmm. So coach asked me if I want to stay. Like, he wanted me to stay basically, and I could start my master's because I was going to graduate in 2020 with my bachelor's degrees. Right. And I was at home, and I was like, honestly, like I don't want to end my career, my tennis career like that. And I also don't want to graduate at home. Like, I really want to experience a ceremony in America because it's of course different than back home. Yeah. So I came back, I decided to do my 5th year of playing tennis. And then my 2nd year of masters, I could be a GA. That was hard. My 1st year being a GA was very hard because you're still kind of the same age as them. You played with them also before. And then coach also asked me to stay, after I finished my MBA, coach asked me to stay a couple more years. And I was also just 23 back then, so I was still young. I had 2 bachelors, I had a master, and I was like, well, and now? What am I going to do now? Yeah. So I was like, I'm not ready for working yet, so I wanted to study a little bit more. So now I started my MPA, so public administration, and I think that I'm doing much better as a GA, as a coach, because I learned from my previous experience, like from last year. Yeah. We have so many new people that also don't know me as a tennis player. They just see me as a coach. I only have one girl on the team right now where I was also within the team. So that actually helps me to get some respect from them, that they also learn from me, or that I can share my experience with them. So that's actually how I became a GA.
You said that they kind of see you as a coach. So do you think after you finish as a GA, you would want to go into coaching tennis yourself?
No, I want to be a manager. That's my dream job. I don't know yet in which area or which department or whatsoever, but I feel like because I have 2 bachelors, I'm going to have 2 masters. I need to use that as my advantage, right. And not be a tennis coach. I think it's going to be hard for me to leave tennis behind because that's been my whole life. It's given me so many opportunities and whatever. So it's going to be hard for me to leave it, but I'm going to have to make a decision probably next year.
Hi guys, welcome to Hot Take Pod. I'm Cynthia, and I'm here today with Emily. And today we are here with Valdosta State University's pitcher, Samantha Richards.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your childhood and how sports became a part of that.
I started playing t-ball when I was about 3, going on 4, and ever since then I've been playing, and I turned 23 this year. Okay. So it's been pretty much my life.
Can you tell us a little bit of why you decided to play for VSU for softball?
So my mom is an alumni from here, and she was like, the program's very good down here. So I got invited to a camp from Coach Macera after he saw me at a showcase, and my mom saw me on the field, and she was like, this is your new home now, pretty much. And I fell in love with the campus and the program, and obviously my teammates. So and here I am, 5 years later.
You obviously had a lot of accolades in high school. How did those accolades kind of help you transition into playing college ball?
So all my accolades in high school usually for hitting mostly. I didn't really pitch as much in high school, and those records were set when they were closer on the mound, so you couldn't really redo them. But just having the hitting accolades, honestly, it was just the drive, the passion, the constant, putting the work in, stuff like that, just prepared me for down the road for college. So now I'm throwing bullpens 4 days a week, playing on the weekends. So
yeah, and you said that you didn't pitch much in high school. So what made you decide to pitch once you got to college?
So my freshman year, I was used as a utility. I didn't pitch. I was either the DP, which is a designated hitter, or I was just the fielder. So I was like, I want to get on the field more. So I worked my butt off over the fall, or summer technically, and proved myself that fall that I could pitch, and here I am.
So being a 3-time All-American, how has that helped you better yourself to lead the team?
Well, as a 5th-year senior, you kind of fall into that role, and as a pitcher, I fell into that role. I know when our team's getting a little chaotic on the field, I'll call time as a pitcher, which you don't see that too often. So, but being an All-American just proves that my work has paid off, and my passion for the team and everything is still there. So I try to lead as an example for all the younger players and all that. So
What are some goals that you've kind of set for yourself as your college career is coming to an end?
So coming in, I wanted to prove myself. So I became an All-American, pitcher of the year. So I proved myself. So now it's just finishing out the year on a high note, possibly winning a natty, which we made a couple years ago, which was exciting. I got to pitch there, so it was so much fun. Want to make it back this year so bad, but which we should be able to with the team that we have this year. So
Do you have any plans after college?
I do. I will be getting a big girl job. I will be growing up, unfortunately. I will be going into teaching and then also coaching on the side. So
With coaching, you said you wanted to coach once you start teaching. So you're going to coach softball. How are you going to go about doing that?
So I plan on coaching softball. Our former AD for our high school was like, if you want a job, you have it when you get out of college, pretty much. So I'll be going back to my alma mater and then hopefully coaching there. So I'm excited too. So give back to the program that helped me. So it's always the best thing, giving back.
So you said you wanted to go into teaching. How is that going to help you, you want to teach younger kids?
Yes.
So how is, being an athlete and being a teammate to others, how is that going to, help you with teaching?
So being an athlete and then going into coaching and stuff, you learn to deal with different types of people. So like some that you have to say certain ways or different phrases. So that I've learned over the years of playing and stuff. So I'm going to try and transfer that into the classroom when I teach to my best ability, getting the kids involved with each other, building relationships at a young age. So that way when they get older, they have that lifelong friend, because we all have one. But I'm just trying to balance it out as much as I can, giving back. So
Tell us a little bit more about your team. I know y'all are currently in your season right now. What are some goals that y'all have for the season that y'all are in right now? And
so our goals pretty much every year is to make postseason nationals. Typical athlete answers. So there's that. But honestly, our team, we're on a roll with hitting. One game this past Sunday, we hit 6 home runs in one game. We are insane. We set the home run record a couple of years ago. We might break our own record at the rate we're going. Our freshmen in our lineup are hitting phenomenally, making plays behind me on defense. Our third baseman, which is a fifth-year senior as well, Taylor Lewis, she's unbelievable. Taylor Macera is second base. She's our other senior as well. We're just making plays. Outfield's doing their job. Kenzie Nelson behind the plate is doing her job. You couldn't ask for a better team than this year for sure. I mean, even the dugout, they're doing their part, cheering louder than the other team. So.
So I know you mentioned that y'all won the Natty back in, was it 20?
We won region in 2021.
Okay, 2021. So talk me through that. Describe that. How was that feeling?
So that was the year of COVID, or right after COVID. So we didn't play as many regular season midweek games as we probably should have or normally would have. There was constant COVID testing, 6 a.m. wake-ups for those. Gotta love those. But we got to host. We won the bid to host. So that was always great for us. We were ecstatic on that. We opened up with Alabama Huntsville, who swept us in regular season. So we had a little chip on our shoulders, and we came out, beat them in 5 innings, which is always a good thing, which sets the tone for the rest of the tournament. We ended up, unfortunately, losing to West Florida once, so that put us in the losers bracket. So we ended up having to come back from the losers bracket, and we ended up beating them. We actually played 2 games to win it. We played the if game, and we won it. So we went to Denver, and that was unreal. The field was different, which was turf because we normally play on dirt. So adapting there, the altitude, the time zone, all the travel, it was chaotic at first, but it was definitely worth it. And then playing at home, you have all your fans.
Home field advantage is a real thing.
Oh, it is, especially in our conference. It is. And our Coach Les, the UA8 coach, she says she hates playing here some days because she called us the evil empire, as a joke, because our fans are crazy. Not crazy, but they're insane. They'll come out. They are. We have a fire truck every time we hit a home run, so that goes off, and it's just the atmosphere was unbelievable here, which it felt so good to win for our fans and for ourselves too, and kind of nice to beat West Florida, send them home.
So this has been our second episode of Hot Take Pod with Samantha Richards.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Emily, and this is Eddie. And today on our podcast, Hot Take Pod, we will be interviewing the Valdosta State women's soccer coach.
So first of all, can you introduce yourself with your name, your position regarding the soccer team?
Yeah, Stephen Andrew, head women's soccer coach here at Valdosta State.
So how did you kind of come to coach for VSU or ultimately decide you wanted to coach for VSU?
Well, I came across here at playing college a long time ago, like 2001 or 2000, and then I was at a small D3 school up in North Atlanta. I was a graduate assistant there and then head coach there for 10 years, and then kind of just reached a ceiling to what I thought we could accomplish at that programme, and then the VSU job opened up and ended up here, I guess back in 2017 I think was my first spring here.
I know you guys made regionals a couple of years ago. How does this help regarding the team and your coaching style and the recruiting?
Yeah, that was kind of like I've kind of validated what I do. I say because obviously the team had been to regionals before I got here. They had a couple of bad years right before I got hired, so we came in and the goal was to kind of get us back to that level. I think that's the expectation for every programme here is to be competing to get to the regionals. So we got there and we played. When also you draw West Florida, which is always a tough draw, and I think that was kind of validated kind of our kids that what we do works, like how we train works, how we want to play works, and so it was good. And also it was good that year because that was the seniors that year were my first recruiting class, so that was the kids that I'd kind of bought into us when I took over the programme that weren't great. So it was a really good way to send those kids out as seniors, kind of getting to the NCAA. We wish we won more games and went on a longer run, but it was good for the programme to get back to that level.
Did it also help for getting new recruitment classes and like having, like you said, like your own recruitment class?
Yeah, I mean recruiting wise it helps. I mean obviously that's like some kids don't look at the results at all, they just look at location and cost and all that stuff, but there's some kids who look, let's say once we made an NCAA appearance, you get a lot more interest maybe nationally from that because it gets the name out there more. So I mean, I think it has helped because obviously for this upcoming recruiting class we've got a kid from New York coming, a kid from New Jersey coming. So I think us getting on the radar with NCAAs that year helps. That was the start of the recruiting process. So I think getting to the national level doesn't hurt you. It's only going to kind of get you. It's basically free marketing. You get your name out there to the rest of the country.
Is it also for the internationals? Because I know there's a couple of internationals on the team as far.
Yeah, I mean, I think the internationals will go anywhere they want to go. So I think that everyone wants to go there somewhere they can win. I think on the women's side, it's been a lot tougher to get internationals the past couple of years because the D1s are just kind of hovering them all up, and the JUCO women's soccer is getting a little bit bigger over here now. So I think a lot of them are going JUCO for 2 years. But being able to put that in the email to them with the call how we made the NCAAs. It's definitely something that attracts a better quality of player.
What are some of the expectations you have for your team this season?
We've like just like basic team, like we've kind of 3 things we harp on: being on time, work hard, and be positive, because that has nothing to do with your soccer ability. Being on time is my big one. It drives me crazy. So and then that, because basically what we try and get across and we have this in the recruiting process is like no one shows up wanting to train bad. So no one comes to practice and goes, you know what will be funny today, I'm going to suck at practice. Like no one thinks like that. So if we try and if you're always working hard, you're always positive, and you're on time, then we can fix all the technical stuff. So we want to try and set we call them the non-negotiables, the stuff that like has nothing to do with soccer. So we want to do that first, and then from a team aspect, it's can we be as fit as possible within the first couple of weeks. And then the goals of the team are always the same thing. Let's say the first goal was, can we make the conference tournament? And then next thing is, can you make a semi-final? I think if you make the semis in our league, there's a very good shot you'll make the NCAAs. Our league's very competitive in every sport. In women's soccer, probably 1 through 12 in the conference are all very good. There's 1 or 2 teams who struggle in the league. I won't say them out loud, but everyone knows who they are. So there's 1 or 2 teams that struggle, but 1 through 12, everyone can beat everyone. So we want to try and make sure we're in the top 8. And I said the goal was, at the end of the season, can we be playing games that mean something? No one likes playing games the last week of the season that you're already eliminated or you're done with the season. So we try and not set these big, high achieving goals that take months. We want to try and set little achievable goals that you can maybe every 2 weeks, like, can we win 2 in a row? Can we win 3 in a row? Stuff like that.
I love that. I really like the non-negotiables. I think that's
because
really
it's
awesome.
Basics. And some of the things that we teach our kids, or we try and kind of get into our kids, are stuff that when they graduate they can take into a workforce. So like, not everyone's going to be a professional soccer player, so they're not going to go and make a ton of money playing soccer, but if they get in good habits of being on time and being positive and working hard, then people want to hire those type of players.
Take them far.
So it's being on time that drives me crazy. So that's, if you ask any of our players, that's the one thing that I can handle a bad touch, I can handle making a bad decision, but if you show up 10 minutes late, it's not, and that's every coach. So it's but yeah, that's the one that's, and that was because we had that rule when I played that you couldn't be late to things. So it's always funny because we'll have, I think the upperclassmen always terrify the freshmen when they come in and they tell, hey, here's what to do, what not to do. So the very first team meeting we have, the freshmen are always like an hour early to it. They just pull up in the parking lot. Sometimes I'm not even there yet and the freshmen are sitting in the parking lot. So you'd rather have that than them showing up at the last minute.
Exactly, yeah.
And later on it switches.
Yeah. Once you get older, you show up a minute before. Yeah, so
you show up a minute before.
Yeah,
the
seniors will sit in their car till a minute before the meeting, so try to prove a point. So it's but when you're a freshman, you're worried. Everything's new. But yeah, you're right. As they get older, you start. You've probably done that. Like, it's training's at 4. You'll sleep till 3:45. Whereas a freshman, you're up at 2, stretching, doing all the little
And getting out the equipment.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yep. That's it. Yes.
Like that. Then as a senior, you're like, good job, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Freshmen get the goals. The seniors always put the point stuff out because they're like, well, the thing now is because we've had everyone through our program has played for me, so they've all done the freshmen get the goals, get the pennies, pick up the balls. So the upperclassmen are always quick to tell the freshmen because they're like, we did that, so it's your turn to do it. So
freshman duties.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need to pay your dues.
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on our podcast and doing this.
No problem. We appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed talking to you. It was really great.
All right. Well, good luck, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.